Greetings everyone and welcome back to the Gnorp Apologue. It seems that more than a few of you had a bit of interest in seeing a bit more of this on the channel, so here we are for a second episode. Now, at the end of the last one, we had a few new things unlocked that we could have a look into. Now, the first and most important one is inspiration. We can now apply inspirations to our units, which improves them in various ways. It basically gives every type of Gnorp a subclass. We've also got the Gatling balloon. This is a guaranteed. We're taking that one. With this upgrade, with the upgrade balloon gunner acquired, the balloon will now shoot Gatler bullets instead of rifle bullets. We're giving the balloon gunner a little bit more oomph. You can also get the flow, body and spirit. After having meditated, slammers deal +3 damage for every strike they do in their current combo, and slammers fly much, much further away after hitting the rock. That second much is not there just for looks. They really do fly far away. Be sure you know what you're doing when you select that one. Bigger pile. You start with some more Gnorps, and a passive reclamation occurs less frequently, but at a cost. You start with 5 more Gnorps. Passive reclamation speed is reduced by 20%. That's the speed the boulder takes back its shards, but the pile grows twice as tall before compression occurs. I don't actually see the downside to that, so we're going to click that one in. We've also got the higher pile, the bigger the smile. Mountaineers now throw shards at 100% greater forward velocity when the pile is 70% of the weight of compression. That might be useful. We've also got directors have notes on how to better generate and collect shards. While active, directors now add +2 to the multiplier, not affected by increase to the multiplier. We haven't seen directors yet, and I'm not sure we're going to be seeing them for a little while to come, so we're not going to grab that one. I think we're just going to grab popcorn, super hot. We will grab explosive exposition, as I feel that these are pretty solid options for us right now. We're also going to pick up extra housing. There can never be enough housing for Gnorps. Every 7th housing you build builds another for free. Free Gnorps? I mean, why would I say no? Now, the final one then is whether or not we take motivation for our slammers or bathe in fire and ignite jetpacks. Bombers gain a significant increase to ascent speed after bombing the rock while it's on fire. I think we're actually going to pick that one up this time instead of motivation. Right, there we go. Let's go ahead and apply all of these. And there we are, having them all over on the far side. And finally, plomp. There we go. Let's get all of these shards into the stash nice and early. There we go. Now, as soon as I can, I would like to get the express. I would also like auto housing turned on. And I very much want many runners to help me with this. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got 10 runners before I necessarily get all of the starting buildings set up, because it just makes sense to get them to help me do this. That's why I've got Gnorp, so I don't have to do all of this manually. My lord, imagine having to move your shards manually. Right, let's go up to 5. I will also increase the capacity a little bit. And we're already building more houses, so maybe I won't have enough shards by the time we get there, if I'm spending it all on housing, I suppose. Right, there we go. Let's get a little bit more on the go. We'll go ahead and get the Slam Club. I mean, I could put up the House of Shards. I could get all the things in their most efficient location. And as much as I am inclined to do that, let's just throw this all together, because realistically, it doesn't actually make that much difference. Certainly not in the earlier prestiges. I would actually argue that taking the time to set up the optimal positioning for your, for example, the Rock Analysis Lab and the Cocoa Cafe, when you are much later in the game, when you're expecting a single prestige run to last much longer, and for you to have many more compression events than like maybe 1 or 2, yes, there is something to be said about making sure you do that correctly at that point, because you're going to save so much time, especially with the Mountaineers. The Rock Analysis Lab it's probably, you feel it more because it's visual, but I think the Mountaineers are the ones that really get the benefit from getting out there and being able to get back to the cafe and back to the mountain as quickly as they can. Right, let's get a couple of slammers out and about. Let's go for 5 of them. Let's grab meditation. Let's add in a couple of jumps straight away. There we go. Right, now they should be able to help out. We also want to increase the capacity on our Gnorps over here and then get some more runners as well. Again, I would like to be up to 10 if we can. Look at their little crowns. How marvelous. We're up to 2.8 on the overdrive already. Very, very happy. Wow. Really? We've already got a house over here right next to... Oh, that's going to be driving back the rock analysis lab even further. A little bit more than I was expecting, frankly. Right, let's get up to 10. There we are. And 4 capacity. That is definitely going to help us out at this point. They are managing to carry large stacks of shards, and the slammers are doing a pretty solid job of getting those shards out to them as well, so they're not having to walk nearly as far in order to get to it. I'll continue to do that, though. We want to get up to, honestly, 10 slammers should be perfect, and that is going to be a very solid foundation for us to work from. Of course, auto-housing is kicking in quite a lot at the moment, so we're seeing a lot of our shards being spent on housing. We're already up to a cost of 209 per house. At this amount, it would be cheaper for me to set up the archery than it will be for me to build another house, which is kind of impressive in and of itself. It's at this point, though, that we do need to start paying attention to how many Gnorps we have, because certain things are going to be harder for us to afford if we're having to wait for the very expensive housing to be built for each one. Thankfully, some of them do come with extra housing as well. For example, Rock Analysis Lab is going to come with housing for 2 Gnorps, though we are not going to be getting that one before we've built some more houses, I should imagine. I could invest in a bit more capacity. Do we need it right now, though? No. I would say that we are massively out collecting what we're doing, but now we can actually showcase the specializations. So the runners have 3 specializations. They require at least 5 mountaineers to get this one. It increases the carrying capacity by 10% per active mountaineer. Active being the important word there, because if a mountaineer is in the Cocoa Cafe, they're not active. We've also got a Gnorp. Now, we haven't really seen them in action, but if we did have a Gnorp up and running, the runners would look above and see the effortless grace of the Gnorps. Runners no longer need to jump to throw their stacks into the stash. Now, that might not seem like a big thing, but it actually does all contribute to the time that a runner is spending running back and forth, collecting and moving the shards. It actually does have a fairly big impact. I very much underestimated how much of an impact that would have. Directors give some pointers to the runners, increasing their geet chance, plus 10% geet chance per active director. Again, we haven't got any directors yet, so that's not something that we're needing to worry about. At this point, I would let's go ahead and get fire arrows. That is going to be perfect, because now we're going to be seeing huge piles of shards stacking up ready for the runners. That is going to be a big help. We're already up to 7 Gnorps over there, which is grand. I would like to get another jump over there. There we go. Let's keep our slammers doing their work. Right, next up, I would absolutely prefer to get the Rock Analysis Lab before I go for anything else. Of course, Gnorp Propulsion will give us the slammers the ability to combo, but that can be anywhere, especially because the jetpack bomber Gnorps, they never go all the way back to the propulsion lab. The propulsion lab can be as far back here as you want. It will just add a little bit of extra prep time when you first purchase a bomber, but after that, they'll only go back a little ways from smacking the rock, and it'll never really get more than that. Right, we've acquired weak spots, and you know what, let's go ahead and just dump all of that out right now. There we go. Beautiful. You're going to have a lot of work to do for a while. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and try and get your capacity up to 10. There you go. That is, wow, they are making short work of that. I'm very happy to see that indeed. Right, we want the Cocoa Cafe and then the Gnorp Propulsion Labs. There we go. In that order, pretty much. Right, the weak spot is the next one that we're going... Well, that's a very far away, actually. We're not going to be there anytime soon. We can take the slammers. Sorry, I missed checking in on this. Oh, thank you for playing the Gnorp Apologue. That's actually a lovely little message over there. We've got the runners. Slammers are inspired by the expedience of runners. Slammers' movement speed is doubled. Or, if you've got drones, slammers want to give those stupid robots a challenge. Slammers do 3 additional preparation jumps. That's actually kind of huge, considering how expensive it is to get jumps. So that one is probably the one that we're going to go for eventually. As for the Mountaineers, we need at least 25 slammers to do this one, but the Mountaineers can jump further and dig 20% faster. Or we can get a Hulk. Requires the garden to be built. Mountaineers are impressed by the Hulk's impact. When Mountaineers jump on shards, one shard of the current tier is sent flying. Huh, yeah, we'll get to that eventually. Right, Gnorp Apologue Let, now that we've got weak spots unlocked, requires weak spots to be unlocked. Bombers want to hit those targets. Bombers will trigger weak spots on hit. This is probably the biggest thing for automating your increase in the multiplier. Because normally you need to be clicking yourself, but once you have that, because weak spots when they are active count as 5 clicks, once you've got bombers hitting the weak spots for you, that will very rapidly improve this and keep that up. Everything about this game is moving by small steps towards automation. If you've got at least 3 Gnorps, bombers channel the residual energies of Gnorps. Bombers time shift impact 2 more times. And finally, requires at least 8 Mountaineers. Bombers see the plight of the Mountaineers and are urged to help them. Now this update will make more sense later, but I'm going to read it out now because it's fun to read. The words taste nice. When bombers get a pocket rocket sent to their rocket pocket, they have a 5% chance of also sending one to every active Mountaineer. Good old pocket rockets being sent to their rocket pockets. That gets more memeish over time. I know it doesn't. You might be thinking, how could it be more memeish? It's already so memeish as it is. But trust me, it gets even better. We're also going to want some Mountaineers. That's probably want to get 2 or 3. But we're going to immediately increase the digging width. Efficiency is the heart of Gnorp kind, or at least it should be. Mountaineers can dig wider with this upgrade, and that is surely more efficient. There we are. Let's go and ahead and grab that. We definitely have peaks worthy of a Mountaineer. Yeah, we got to. I love that they've all got Christmas hats. That's absolutely marvelous. I love it so much. We want to improve their digging, though. This one requires 3 Gnorps, which is expensive. Instead, I'm going to take us all the way up to 5 Mountaineers. Now, the runners should have the Mountaineer upgrade available. There we go. And since we've got potentially 5 upgraded Mountaineers, this is going to increase their carrying capacity by 50%, which is quite impressive. Now, this is, again, another one of the reasons why I like having the bigger pile, because you can potentially have enormous mountain peaks, which makes Mountaineers more likely to stay on the mountain for longer, thus being more active, thus meaning that our runners are going to be getting more bang for buck. Now, we are immediately going to upgrade speed. This is going to be a big upgrade for them. So let's go ahead and do that. You can minimize the game to reduce GPU usage. The game will continue to run in the background. This actually is a very good point here, because this is something that a couple of people have been asking, and that is, will this game run offline? No, there is no offline progress, but you can simply minimize the game. And while minimized, it uses almost no resources. It just quietly does its thing in the background, and then you can maximize the program again, and you can see all the progress that was made. Definitely worth it. Let's see. Now, we've got weak spot frequency. Let's go ahead and upgrade that. We're also going to grab ice arrows. We're not going to use ice arrows, though. Should we go ahead and grab the robotic slab? I'm not entirely sure that we shall. Instead, we're going to go for a combo chance. You know what? Actually, no, we will grab the robotic slab. Let's go ahead and get them out there. Now, how many robots around? I need at least 10 drones to have been purchased. Then we are going to get 10 drones. We've got 5 bombers, so the drones can now enter efficiency mode, reducing their overall movement speed and consumption. Descent rate is reduced by 50%, acceleration is reduced by 50%, but consumption is dropped by 10% from 60 to 50. You can increase their consumption, which is an interesting choice. Certainly, if you pay attention to the amount that it increases consumption and the amount of increased speed, and the same is true of the bombers as well. You can probably already see for yourself which one ultimately gives you the most bang for buck. Right, we're doing a very good job now of pulling all of this down. We're going to need a lot more slammers to keep up with this. But I want to try and get you up and running. There we go. Let's go for this. That massive upgrade on the amount of jumps they're going to do is going to have a huge impact on how powerful the slammers are. There you can see that going. That is amazing. They are generating staggering amounts of extra shards, and that is exactly why we wanted to grab the drones there. Now, for the slammers, though, I think 5 more slammers is going to be useful. We will still, of course, get the gun versus rock, but getting the slammers going straight away is a bigger impact here, I think. Ultimately, we are meeting the amount of damage we're producing, more or less, in terms of collection. So we do need to increase the amount of damage we're doing, so that there is enough for them to bother collecting. I'm just going to get that multiplier up there. There we go, up to 4.8. Very, very happy with that. Now, as for our other Gnorps, I don't really think there's too much more for us to be doing right now. We've got all of the arrows that we want. One thing we could do is set up the ice arrows and then try and hit a couple of the weak spots at the same time. But now that our bombers are able to trigger weak spots, that's going to be a bit more of a tricky one. And as it happens, they just triggered one right as I was talking about it. So we've kind of lost the ability to build up a bunch of weak spots, let the let the archers freeze it, and then trigger all the weak spots to have enormous amounts of shards generated. So if that's going to be a big part of your strategy in order to get compression events, probably hold off on allowing the bombers to hit the weak spots. That being said, you can just turn it off as well. I didn't even think about that until just now. So that's actually quite cool that you can just turn off that speciality. So it is still a viable tactic then, which I'm very happy with. Right, gun versus rock acquired. Let's get this set up over here. Pop. There we go. And let's get a rifle Gnorp out there right away. Now, each one of these costs 10k, and that cost just increases and increases and increases. So we're going to want to be saving up a good bit of shards for a little while, but we still need a lot more collection happening. And ultimately, we want to see another compression event, probably sooner rather than later. The Terror Thrusters are going to be an important one, but we're a good ways off from having enough to get up to that, unfortunately, so we'll see what we can do. The Rifle Gnorps as well, they don't really get a lot of impact done. There we go, very nice there. They're triggering a little weak spot there. But once you've got a good group of them, much like anything else, once you've got a large group of any of the Gnorps, that's when you're going to start seeing the real help there. But one of the things that we're going to see here is you should ascend a lot quicker, I would imagine. Let's just double check. Bathe and Fry, ignite the jetpacks. Bombers gain significant increase in ascent speed after bombing the rock while it's on fire. Now that's ultimately going to come down to just luck with the rock being on fire at the right time, because the rock isn't on fire. There we go. As we can see, they're straight back up there, and then they can bomb immediately again. But it take a bit of luck to see the rock be on fire at the right time for the jetpacks to trigger. Still, well worth it though. I think we're going to get a couple more bombers. Let's go ahead and get 5 of them and get them out there, and then another rifle Gnorp as well. That being said, I could grab the grenade. Yes. Generally speaking, when I've got a choice between just adding more of something or making what I've already got better, I tend to go for making what I've already got better. There is if you want to sit down and just have a look at the numbers, there is going to be a crossover point where one is more effective up until that point, and then it becomes more effective to just make what you've already got more efficient. But I tend to just go for giving more function to the units I already have, even if it isn't strictly speaking the most efficient in that moment. But now we've got quite a few bombers in the sky. We should be seeing our damage numbers starting to climb, and indeed they are. Fantastic. How much is the next house? 11k for the next house. Ooh, okay. I think break time is the time. The runners are in constant state of fatigue, and now they hear of mountaineers that can take breaks. Maybe the runners deserve a break too. Until the next compression event, runners are will significantly reduce their movement speed, and then after the next compression event, they'll get a 2-time multiplier to their carrying capacity. I still don't know if this is only true of the carrying capacity when the compression event happens, when the break time is taken, or it's just that whatever their carrying capacity is, it now has a 2 times multiplier applied to it at some point in the calculation. I really don't know, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick this one just as soon as I can. I'm going to help out our mountaineers a little bit to keep our multiplier up there. There we go. Now the fact that we've got the mountaineers with the ability to mine to the side is actually genuinely helping quite a lot there. Now, with all of the runners now slow, this is going to dramatically reduce our collection rate because the runners are making up the vast majority of our collection rate right now. With that being the case, we are going to see a compression event probably happen much sooner than later. But remember, this is going to be able to get much higher than it was before. So we are still going to see this take a little while before we see that compression event. But it'll be significantly more interesting to look at. We'll probably also start seeing the mountaineers starting to collect a good bit, because you're going to be throwing your the shards directly into the stash from up there. So we're going to start seeing those mountaineers on this side actually contribute a decent amount to the collection. So it's not like it's all going to go away just because the runners are slow. But it's going to take us a little while before we get to the next compression event. So I'm going to skip time forward here and bring you back when there is more to report. Also, I'm going to get a bunch more slammers because I can. And there we go. It didn't actually take me too long for that compression event to kick in. But as you can see, the mountaineers were actually getting quite high up there because so much of their work was being done right next to the stash that they were able to just throw it all in there. But we have now got 10 baby drones helping us do damage to the boulder, which is going to, of course, help us generate enough material for our collection event to happen. Right, now the first thing we're going to want to do is get the Zibellium collector and then immediately the balloon gunner, which in our case is going to be the balloon gatlinger, which is going to be a huge help because they will spend most of their time doing that rather than collecting any Zibellium. Alright, we'll also get another rifle Gnorp. The next one's going to cost us a cool 40k, which is kind of terrifying. Also, the next house is going to cost us 26k. So pretty much everything is going to be just painfully expensive for now. We are back, of course, to seeing the gatherers being by far the most productive. We are not that far away from having the 25 slammers that we will need to be able to get the first upgrade for the mountaineers, which would actually be quite nice. There are no upgrades for the rifle Gnorps though, which is an interesting one. I really wish you were faster. You can eventually make it faster, but right now, very slow. We do not need to make our slammers fast. Generally speaking, you're going to be in a position where you're going to have constant slams going on, or at the very least, they're going to be in a state of prepping for the attack. Increasing the combo chance is going to have a huge effect on this. They're almost now up to the point where they would almost be guaranteed a combo. And remember, that is on every single successive combo. So it's a very, very important one. And there is no maximum, there's no limit for their combos right now because we haven't further upgraded them. Now, it's going to be a little while before that Zibellium is brought over. Is there anything else we want to invest in? I could invest in some drones, but honestly, I don't mind waiting a little bit on getting the drones. The main thing is to get the baby drones so that they can help with the next wave. But I think for now, we don't need to really worry too much about the drones for the time being. And instead, we can just focus on saving up. We've almost got enough for another house, which is something we're desperately going to need, actually. As soon as you've brought that back, then we can see you floating back over here just to attack. Now, the incredibly slow speed of the balloon. Again, this is the primary reason why, you know, you might want to have the House of Shards and then the rock analysis lab right next to the rock, where the Zybellium typically is going to pop up. But once more, we're going to pass a little bit of time while our Gnorps get the work done that we need done, and also maybe 1 or 2 more houses will be built in that time. And then when we return, we will be spending that Zybe on a new upgrade. Whatever that upgrade will be, I haven't yet decided. I guess it depends largely on how much shards we have in the bank by the time we can ask that question. Okay, so as you can see, our little Gatling balloon gunner is doing their bit, though the knockback from the Gatling gun does drive the balloon further and further up to the heavens until it's at a certain point, and then it slowly floats back. But we've got 173k with us at the moment, and that means that we can afford to unlock the Geet protocol. So let's go ahead and put that in, and that has unlocked the YX1AB rocket. Right, so the Geet protocol, the Gnorp Expedited Express Throw protocol, is a rigorous training regimen for runners. With the help of a little jetpack, they will learn to throw what they carry all the way back to the drop point. Sometimes, as you can see, that huge wallop load there just got yeeted all the way back, or geeted, I suppose. There we go, that's another one. That does shave off a fair bit of time for them. Also, we can invest a little bit in the delivery rush down here as well, which will hire 2 Gnorps to act as cheerleaders for when the runners deliver shards. Runners get a 1 pixel per second increase to their speed for a short time after delivering shards. So this is going to be another big upgrade to how quickly. Look how fast they rush back out there. Now, this is especially useful if the shards are not close to the stash. In our case, with fire shooting it so far back, it's not going to be useful then, but for all of the stuff that the slammers are doing, very, very useful indeed. Now, as for the Gatling Gnorp, well, we're going to need a fair few Gnorps in order to get a Gatling Gnorp. That is rather expensive. If we have a look down here, I could use that Zybellium and 9 Gnorps, which in and of itself is incredibly expensive, plus 256,000 shards to get additional housing. This is kind of like the upgrade that we've got over here, where every 7th house gives us a free house. Additional housing is retroactive, and every 3rd house builds a free house. So this one, the retroactivity is genuinely the biggest deal here, because you're going to be getting this quite late. And so this is going to suddenly flood you with available Gnorps, which is going to be absolutely wonderful. But each house right now costs us 89,000, which is an awful lot. Now the YX1AB rocket, which is realistically kind of what we want to be going for, that's going to set us back a cool 201,000 shards, and also 5 Gnorps, which means a lot of building work is going to need to be done. Thankfully, we did just get a free Gnorp, simply because of the fact that we get one, I think, every 10 minutes or so. Yes, every 10 minutes we get a free Gnorp. So at this point, we're going to have 3 Gnorps and the Zybellium. We could go for the runners, but I think instead we... sorry, for the Gatling gunner. I think we're instead going to just wait and allow the Geet protocol to continue to just help out in the meantime. But we're going to save up for the money that is going to be required to get the YX1AB rocket up and running, I think. And also, sadly, the rather large amount of money that's going to have to go on housing. So first we're going to have to spend 135k on a new house, and then 201k on getting the YX1AB rocket. I'm just going to call it the rockets from now on, my lord. But just to go over what this is, the Gnorp scientists believe they have invented a new tool for success. Big rockets that contain smaller rockets. Produces rockets at the expense of shards. Runners contribute shards when geeting. When 3,200 shards have been contributed, it will launch a rocket containing 16 smaller rockets each, dealing 400 damage, unaffected by the multiplier, with a range of 0 to 5. Well worth it, but it is a bit of a pricey one. Our multiplier is almost up to 6 at the moment, though, and by far and away, the lion's share of the damage is being produced right now is coming from our slammers. Good old slammers. I suppose we could invest a little bit in getting a bit more damage done by them. For example, putting in a little bit more warm-up jumps. And maybe with our mountaineers, at this point, it is going to be worth digging with 5 columns. So now they're going to dig 7 columns of shards with each dig. That is going to be a huge amount of shards that they're going to be pushing forward. Now, it'll only affect it if there are other columns of shards at the same level that they're digging, which won't always be the case, but hopefully this is going to help out at least a little bit. Right, I shall bring you back when we are ready to go for the rockets. And welcome back. I went and made myself a cup of tea, and when we got back, we have the amount of... We've actually got a lot of Gnorps. We must have had another couple of houses be built. That doesn't explain the amount of Gnorps that we have. Oh, what probably happened is there was at least one other free Gnorp, and we likely built a 7th house, so we got a house for free. That's what I imagine. Anyway, it's time for the rocket, so let's get those on the way. Out they go with their jetpacks. Let's actually slide that across there. There we go. Starting to get like a very large amount of information. Then we'll slide that one across to here. Right, so we've got the YX1AB rocket. Now, as you can see, the gated shards are dropping in here. When that creates one rocket, it will create a rocket then that will have various amounts of smaller rockets inside. 16, apparently. But we can use the Zybellium on an upgrade here, and that's why I was holding on to the Zybellium. Allows rockets to cause vulnerability to the rock. Vulnerability increases the minimum and maximum range of all damage by 2. Minimum maximum range of all damage by 2, and the maximum range can now exceed 10, which means that if damage is done to the rock by fire, it will just fly straight into the stash at that point. Vulnerability lasts for 15 seconds. It requires 240 rockets to trigger, and when triggered, causes 25,000 damage at a range of 7 to 10. Subsequent rockets do not increase the duration. That is absolutely what we want to grab, so we've just grabbed that, and away we go. We had 4 mini rockets launched out of the main rocket, and then 4 rockets out of that one. That's how we get to the 16. So each one of these large delivery vehicles will split into, I guess, I'm not actually sure whether it's the X or the Y rockets. I'm going to say it's the Y rockets. So it's, well, actually, what's this called? It's YX, so it's probably the Y rockets. So it'll split into how many Y rockets you have, and that's probably why these are cheaper. And then the third stage, the tertiary stage, is the X rockets. That's my guess anyway. It's a little bit hard to tell, but there we go. Upgrade unlocked. Pocket rockets. There we go. Pocket rockets now exist. Let's go and have a look for the pocket rockets. Here we are. Pocket rockets. It requires Zybellium. Bombers now get an ace teleported into their pockets. Rockets. When bombers deal damage, they get 2 pocket rockets teleported into their rocket pockets. Rockets deal 400 damage unaffected by the multiplier with a range of 0 to 5. Sadly, teleporting back in time leaves their rocket pockets empty. And that also, sadly, makes sense. I love that, honestly. I truly do. But that is absolutely what we're going to be going for. We want the pocket rockets. It's going to be fantastic. But that means we need to get to a compression event. So, let's have a look how much damage we were doing. Actually, a decent amount of damage came from the rockets over there. So what we want to do is we want to maximize that. Unfortunately, that's going to be rather expensive to do. We either need more runners to increase the chance of someone geeting, or increase the chance of geeting. Probably both things, if I'm perfectly honest. But we are now doing more damage than is coming in terms of collection, so that is definitely something that's nice to see. We are ridiculously far away from getting those, so that's not even going to be something that I worry about for now. Let's see. Could we afford to get a couple more runners? I really don't see a reason not to, so sure, let's go ahead and get another 5. There we go. Some more rockets there. And bang, and that has not yet introduced vulnerability. Again, it did say the vulnerability required 240 rockets, and all we've done so far is 32, so it's going to be a little while. But increasing the amount... Oh, there we are. Oh, I love that. It little jumps on top as well. There we go. Rockets away, and... smash. There we go. I wonder if ice and vulnerability would both work together. Notice the little crack there that it is appearing along the edge of the rock. I believe that is the indicator that we are approaching vulnerability. We'll see that in just a moment when this rocket is prepared. There we go, and pop. Let's go down there and see if that crack gets any larger with impacts from rockets. Let's have a look. Yes, it does. Oh, that's beautiful. There are so many little visual clues in this game. It's deceptive in that it looks like it's a very simple, very basic graphics. And I suppose from, I guess, a technical standpoint, yes, it is. It's certainly not photorealistic. But there is a lot of information densely packed into these pixels. And I really, really appreciate that. I really, really think that's cool. Right, let's go ahead and have a look. We can now afford another rifle Gnorp, so let's get that rifle Gnorp out there, please and indeed, thank you. Now, to get more geeting, that's actually going to require 3 Gnorps. I didn't properly look at that. Might take me a little while. Of course, I could increase their capacity as well. That would help them along a little bit. How much is it right now to get more housing? It's 303k to get more housing. That is, unfortunately, quite expensive and something I'm not super happy about. But we can now go for the upgrade for our drones, should we actually build any more. Drones enter burn mode, increasing their overall movement and consumption. They can descend and accelerate, has been increased by 100%, and their consumption has increased to 70 from 60%. So, depending on if you're using drones aggressively, that might be a good one to go for. Though with the terror thrusters, that does kind of balance out a little bit more with the lower consumption, because it does still increase the drone's acceleration by 3 times. But your mileage may vary there. We're about to see this go vulnerable, I should suspect. We're definitely getting there at this point. I think the addition of the 5 extra runners was the right move over here. The other thing we can do to help out is to increase the amount the runners can carry, thereby increasing the amount that gets geeted over to the rocket silo with each successful geet. I think there was a... Yep, there we go. Another rocket on its way. Alright, so I'm going to pass a little bit more time. I shall bring you back when there is more to report. There we go. Vulnerability has been achieved. Oh my good lord. So much is flying out of this rock right now. We only have 15 seconds, so hopefully we'll see some fire happening at the same time. Oh my good lord, that actually got us over a prestige point. That was amazing, and actually a good bit of the way to the next prestige point as well, and a shocking amount of shards on top of that. So I imagine we've... Oh, well, actually, no, we're a little ways off from getting any more geet points, but we are so close to that collection point right now. We're currently collecting 195k. A lot of that came out of the boulder itself. That was glorious. But given that, I'm absolutely confident that we will be able to hit the amount that we need to be able to get that next prestige point. So that's given me a little bit more encouragement towards that. We are still going to need a fair bit of points over here, but one of the things I can do is to increase the speed of our gatherers now up to max, and they get a little bit more of a bump as well on top of that gathering ability thanks to the cheerleaders. Now, we are way back down here again because the vulnerability has just passed, but we're on our way towards getting what we need. The next person I'm going to invest, I'm going to get a slammer to help out as well. We're going to try and increase all the slams all the way up at least to 25, and then we will finally get our Mountaineers first subclass upgrade on top of things. There we are, the little crack slowly appearing again. It's going to take a while to get there, but with the added speed of the runners. Everything that helps the runners effectively helps the rockets, because it just increases the opportunities that the runners get to activate Geet protocol. But we are a little ways away from getting the next upgrade and pushing that percentage up to 20%. We'll see what we can do to get there, though. And new compression event, here we go. Just as we were launching a bunch of new fire arrows into the rock. That's fantastic. Getting a huge amount of collection. This might be enough to get us there. It might not. I think if we had drones also helping out, it would probably have just pushed us over the edge. We'll see, though. We might be there. No, I think it's starting to tick down a little bit, unfortunately. I think drones would be enough to push us over, just over that little lip there into the territory to be able to get another prestige point. However, we're most of the way to getting the 20% on Geet protocol, which means those vulnerabilities are going to happen much, much more often, which is going to be a huge impact on how quickly we generate this. And here we go. There we are. 20% Geet protocol. 1.01 million to get up to 30%, but this should be enough, I think, to push us very rapidly towards getting those vulnerabilities more often. As we can see now, the Geet deliveries are happening a lot faster. In fact, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to get up to 10 drones as quickly as we can. That will give us a little bit of extra collection on top of the massive amount of collection that comes simply from vulnerability pouring the boulder directly into the stash for all intents and purposes. There we are. Let's have a look at how close we are. We're making some decent progress. Let's go ahead and get you on the way. There we go. Perfect. Now, the other thing you could do, I suppose, would be to turn off triggering weak points for a little bit. Do the rockets automatically trigger weak points? I'm not entirely sure about that. Let me double check. If we have a look at this, big rockets that contain smaller rockets. I'm not actually sure. I think there might be something that we need to get to make rockets be able to trigger weak points. That may be worth us doing. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to trigger ice, because we are getting close to having the compression event. So we're going to use the same tactic that we had before, in that we're going to activate, or hopefully have the boulder be frozen at the time of a vulnerability. Come on, we need to get 12 of these in there to freeze the boulder before the next rocket hits. We might just be out of range there. Remember, when the boulder freezes, it will double the damage incoming. I'm not sure we're going to have enough time to get this on the go. Oh, we might do. We just might. I think the next rocket launch is going to cause vulnerability, and we might be lucky enough to freeze the boulder just before that happens. Let's see. We did, and we got vulnerability at that time. Oh, that's fantastic. That will have been doubling the amount of production at the time. We might even get a compression event. We did get a compression event. Oh my lord, that peak got bonkers. Unfortunately, that has actually kind of worked against us, because that means this will all have been getting sucked back into the boulder, when really what I wanted to see was all of it get spat out into the... Oh my god, did we get a second compression event? Did we get double compression events back to back? Okay, well that tactic worked shockingly well. We did get 2 compression events back to back. That is, Okay, so the tactic of freezing the boulder before you dump an enormous, absolutely obscene amount of damage onto it, it appears to be shockingly effective. Who could have predicted this? However, we did we no longer have the baby drones. I managed to make 10 drones before the last compression event, but now, sadly, yeah, we didn't have any drones for that one. Oh, well, I guess we can accept it. Is there anything I can upgrade? Sure, I'll go for 7 jumps over there. Well, that was far exceeding my my predictions there. Now, the problem with this is I was kind of banking on the compression event, on the rockets kind of being spewed into the stash to get us over that prestige point. Also, I was banking on having drones to help us get over it as well, so let's get them out there. However, one thing you will notice is that now the drones are going to be carrying much, much more. The drones carry a set amount based on the compression level. So later drones are just more valuable. So this may well start pulling up our gathering a lot more. And as you can see, our runners are now carrying a tiny amount because all of these shards are just that much more compressed. I think this is like the 3rd... No, we're on the 4th level of compression. That is wild to me. Okay, well, we're going to have 2 Zybe to play around with on whatever we particularly want to, and so we're definitely going to be able to get that prestige. The question is, what do I need to increase, collection or damage? I would say it's probably damage looking at it, but that being said, we've also got a vulnerability event going on right now, and it looks like that's going to push us over by itself. Yep, that has pushed us all the way to Prestige 2. Okay. Well, I'm very tempted to see what we can do if I time that with a freeze event. I'm very tempted to find that out, but we have definitely got enough now to do some fun things. Now, we can either go for pocket rockets or time shift impact. I'm favoring the pocket rockets, honestly, especially because of all of the other rocket shenanigans that we've got going on, but we're going to have 2 Zybe for this, which does give us a couple of other options. We could go for dirty thrusters on the drones. Drones spill shards when descending, like a mountaineer with thrusters, but without a hat. I frankly think that is a design flaw with the drones. But what can you do? I could spend a Zybe on that because that does actually allow the drones to shift quite a lot of shards around as they're moving. But it isn't necessarily the most impactful use of Zybelium. Let's have a look over here. 455, that's 500,000 to get the next housing. We've already got the 2 prestige that I wanted to get. I am going to just see if we can push this up to 3 if I time the ice tactic for the arrival of some rockets. But if not, we're just going to push forward. At this point, though, I think it's fair to say let's just go ahead and invest at least in the Terra thrusters for my drones. I think that should be well worth it. We could now go for combo power on the Slam Club. Zybelium enhanced skullcaps is sure to provide a nice bonus for the slammers during combo. Every 3rd hit gets 5 times damage with a range of 2 to 5, 7 to 10 with meditation. Sure, let's go ahead and grab that one. Let's see them spew all of this all the way down here. It'll only happen on every 3rd hit with combos, but we're getting a good amount of combos at this point, so I'm not too worried about that one getting the most use out of that one. I definitely think we're going to. But as soon as the last Zybe has been delivered, thank you ever so much, we now need 2 Gnorps to get pocket rockets. We're not too far away from having enough for that, and we are also getting increasingly close to another vulnerability event. I think... Oh, that happened a little bit too fast. Okay, fair enough. That was meant to happen later, but fine, I suppose. Didn't really plan the timing on that one quite as well as I should have. Never mind, we'll have to wait for the next vulnerability event then. I was too busy following around where the Zybelium was going. Nevertheless, we now have the ability to get the pocket rockets, or we will have in just a second, so that's good timing on that one. Let's get that one going. And... pocket rockets into their rocket pockets. There we go. Now we can hear all the fireworks going off. Marvellous. And we'll get an extra slammer with the remaining Gnorp as well. So this will all contribute to the amount of damage that we're able to kick out. once the next vulnerability event happens. And whilst we're building up to that, I'm going to continue building up our drones as well. But at this point, we're going to switch over to ice arrows, and that way we'll hopefully get the event to happen at the right time. I would love it if, at this point, we could still get 3 prestiges without too much... Oh, okay, so these are happening a lot faster than I was expecting, but okay. But I would love to see on just the second run effectively getting another 3 prestige points. I feel that we have definitely overstayed this time, but, well, much the same as the last time. But I'm quite impressed with how well that tactic is working for us. So I'd like to see just how much we can push our luck. So... there are problems when you decide to take a break and quickly check how long has been on the recording prior to deciding whether you're going to continue the recording or not, and then take a phone call. You sometimes forget to turn the recording back on when you sit back down at your computer. Yeah. So, TLDR... we couldn't reach the 3rd prestige, unfortunately. It was just outside of our grasp. It was a combination of needing very exacting timing on the rock being frozen just before the vulnerability happened, because that's when the vulnerability dumps its massive amount of damage into the rock. And so we decided to prestige. Also, we really didn't have the collection capacity to really make use of the amount of damage that we were outputting, so all things pointed to us just jumping in and starting again. Again, the whole thing of prestige early and often, even though at that point probably hadn't really prestiged often enough. Nevertheless, we prestiged with 2 points. This unlocked a couple of things, which I've already locked in. We're getting there. Okay, this is past me. A little bit bitter about his earlier mistake, trying to just laugh it off and not cry. So, we unlocked Prestige Experience. As long as we have fewer than infinite Gnorps, we need more. As long as we have fewer than infinite shards, we need more. You start with 1 Gnorp per spent talent point. Clicking is twice as effective, and holding down the mouse button is twice as fast. And you can click anywhere on the pile to move shards. All quite nice. Then we had a couple of options. We read through all of them. I'll go through the ones that we haven't gotten to yet. Descent of the King. The King's might, their reign, a radiant delight. When the Mountaineer King descends, the radiance of the crown adds +8 to the multiplier for 3 minutes. That's actually quite a lot, considering right at the end there, we were only at 6.8. +8 is more than we had achieved in like 40, 50 minutes of playtime. So it's not a small amount to add to the multiplier. When a new king is crowned, the previous king bequeaths all of its crowns. We haven't really played with the Mountaineer King, but effectively when a new king is crowned, all of the progress up to 4 crowns that one king can wear, that goes away. This, instead, will preserve that. The king will not rest as long as the pile is worthy of climbing. We also have Return to Sender. Some arrows survive the impact of hitting the rock. Let's make use of them. Stuck arrows can now be retrieved by the directors. When they leave the rock, retrieved arrows are delivered to the archers. 1 out of 3 arrows are retrievable. And then Super Shatter. Freeze has its duration increased to 25 seconds. That is a shocking amount of time, but don't get your hopes up. It no longer increases damage dealt to the rock. Big sad trumpet noises there. But it still does modify the range, so you can still get things into the stash from it. The rock is no longer immune to ice after it was frozen. Shatter deals 550 damage unaffected by statuses, and Shatter range is 4 to 8. This is not the longest tooltip in the game. I love that. Then we have Project Constellation Harmony. Rockets no longer immediately seek the rock. Every 20 seconds, all rockets currently in the air will all at once strike the rock. Rockets trigger weak spots. Rocket range is increased to 3 to 7 from 0 to 5. Now this would play into freezing the rock a lot better. That 20-second period where the rockets just kind of go into a holding pattern, that gives you an opportunity to set up the shatter. So this is an obvious take. But the less obvious one is this one, Future to the Back. Let's go back to a simpler time, when arrows were the latest and greatest and the world still made sense. Gatler bullets are regular arrows. Rifle bullets can choose between ice arrows and fire arrows. And arrows generated this way are brittle and do not stick in the rock, and that's an important thing if you're taking Return to Sender. But those of you who've played the game, and I know there are quite a few of you based only on what has been said in the Dapperdell Discord, will already know why this is so great. Those of you who've simply got a keen eye may have already started to connect some of the dots. You see, Gatler bullets are now regular arrows. What shoots Gatler bullets? Well, the Gatler Gnorp, but also the balloon with this upgrade. So it's now producing arrows. Some of the bullets you might not have noticed, Gatler bullets are not super accurate, whereas arrows are a lot more accurate. However, what really makes this amazing is the fact that you can choose to have ice or fire on your rifle Gnorps, which allows you to generate a lot more instances of the boulder setting on fire or potentially freezing. But specifically the Gatler bullets being regular arrows, you may have noticed a certain Zybellium-fueled upgrade that didn't really make much sense, and we'll leave it at that. If you would like to see how shockingly chaotic this particular upgrade can make things, then do let me know down below, or more importantly, let St. Algorithmus know down below that you'd like to see another episode of Gnorp Apologue, and I will be keeping a very, very close eye on the comments. Thank you ever so much, though, for joining me. I'm sorry that we skipped over the actual prestiging there. Phone calls, man. Why do I even have a phone? All people seem to use it for is to deliver bad news or to ask if I want to buy something. I should just lock it in a drawer and never go back. Nevertheless, thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little fumble notwithstanding, and I hope to see you in the next, should there be a next. But until then, and as always, from me and all of the Gnorps, do take care, everyone.